Hey, Bulls and Bears. All right, let's get right into it. We've got more pretty alarming happenings in the economy. And let's start with the consumer being the backbone, the driver of the U.S. economy, the main driver. Now, there's many other things that contribute to the economy. Borrowed money is another big contributor. Just think if the government couldn't borrow endless amounts of money, where would this economy be right now? We might be in Great Depression 2.0. So when you look at it like that, they're almost forced to continually borrow more and more money because the slowdown, basically with everything being more expensive, they wouldn't be able to fund anything. You would see a complete collapse. But what are we seeing here? We're seeing headlines like this one here. 401k hardship withdrawals surge to another record high as inflation stings. So another piece of evidence that goes against the narrative that inflation is easing, right? That's their term and that's their phrase that they've been using. Inflation is easing. If inflation is easing, why are we seeing another record of a number of people pulling out, basically withdrawing their 401k early? And you have to pay Uncle Sam an extra penalty on that. So it's not something that people take lightly because you go to withdraw it and you're given a prompt. Okay, you're going to have this and this tax to pay on this money, and it's not a small amount. So this isn't something that people are just doing, without some serious, I think, reasoning behind it. And here's how this article put it here: the growing number of Americans tapping their 401k retirement plans for emergency purposes comes as they continue to confront stubbornly high inflation. And what some or maybe all of these brokerages are doing that handle these 401k accounts is they're making you justify the reason for taking the money out. It's pretty weird thing when you think about it. But the money in there is it's yours, but it's not yours. If you have to answer questions to be able to get your money out and to justify reasoning behind it, is it really your money? So just one way that I always have looked at it. But you do get some incentives for putting money into the 401k. You get company match in some cases where they'll match 100% of what you put in up to sometimes as high as 6%. So when you look at it like that, that's a 100% return on what you're putting in there or your quote unquote investment, and it's pre-tax, right? So there's some benefits, but getting that money in a timely manner when you need it, that is a very, very big challenge in some cases. Now, I still hold my stance here that 2024, we're going to see a very, very big fallout economically. And it could be tied in with other things, and it could be something outside of the economic realm, if you will, that brings in the financial slash economic chaos. A number of things could come in here. Now, some people are saying, no, I've been saying this for years. Well, no, if you look back at my videos, I've been saying that they're going to keep these markets propped up for a long time. New rescue programs. We did see the expiration of the bank funding program. However, some people predicted a bloodbath very quickly. I said it's not going to be that quick because banks have other sources of funding, one, and two, they don't have to pay back the loans that they borrowed. They don't have to pay those back right away. It's going to be over the course of the next few years, actually. So you're going to see things play out very slowly there. But what if something else comes in and brings in chaos, unrest? It could come from the legal spectrum. It could come from the war, national defense, with everything going on right now across the globe. The consumer is becoming more and more tapped out, and we just saw a big surge in people putting their homes on the market, the biggest increase for inventory in several years. We're going to talk about that. That's another sign that U.S. consumers are getting tapped out. It's not just me making this up here. Here's another headline today. Financial Times stretched U.S. consumers start pulling back on spending. So we've got the 401k withdrawals. We've got pulling back on spending. We know that a lot of billionaires and multimillionaires are getting out. They're selling a lot of shares, a lot of insider selling. We've got a major CEO resigning. This is Vanguard, just resigned. And that raised quite a lot of eyebrows. Vanguard CEO resigning. And at this time when the economy is supposed to be super strong, isn't it interesting that we're seeing the CEO of Vanguard resign? Would not be the best time to keep your position if the economy is so super strong, or does he see a lot of other red flags, and maybe some of the red flags we point out here on this channel? Nobody can read his mind, of course, when they leave, when CEOs leave, they usually say something like, okay, I need to spend more time with family and other commitments. That's kind of the go-to line. Nobody wants to say, and they'll probably even get in trouble for saying, well, I think the economy is going to crash, so I'm getting out while the getting's good. Now, there was some dispute within this company here, within Vanguard, one of the biggest, actually, asset managers on the planet, especially with retirement accounts. There was some controversy within Vanguard if they were going to take on these crypto ETFs. So he was against it, from what I'm reading here, according to Reuters and Barron's. And a lot of people were upset about that because people want to invest in Bitcoin. By the way, Bitcoin just surged. Everybody knows, probably 60, just under 70,000. Is starting to see consolidation, a little bit of a pullback. But what did I say when the ETF was announced? I said we're going to see a lot of volatility, and I said exactly what would happen. So congratulations to those of you that got in at that time. Now, I would not recommend getting in now. Doesn't mean they can't push it up higher. Now there's going to be a lot easier way to manipulate the price with the ETF, right? Institutions can go in with trillions of dollars, and I doubt they would go trillions, but they have the ability to click a button and buy this thing now, for pump billions of dollars into it basically at the click of a button. So we could see more volatility. I wouldn't be surprised to see it go up higher, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it drop down. Whatever the mega investors decide to do, that's the direction that it's going to go. And remember, they're in there to take your money. So you want to be wise. You want to buy when the getting's good, when it's low, and I want to consider selling after you see a big spike up. Don't chase the price, because people get in big trouble when they lose money when they start chasing something, right? We see that in a lot of different markets. People chased home prices. People went in and jumped in, fear of missing out, right? Because people thought the home prices would go up forever. And when you have something on the table, such as a currency collapse, that's always something in the back of people's minds. And if they know anything about history, if they know about how currencies have been devalued in other countries. So there is that justifiable fear. FOMO, fear of missing out, is not unjustifiable completely, because when you have the option, or not really the option, when you have the possibility of a currency getting completely wiped out and devalued and spiking inflation, then a lot of people do want to buy their biggest purchase, which is typically a home, and get in before the big hyperinflation. And it sounds weird saying that for people in the United States, but there is the realistic fear of hyperinflation. Now, luckily, we haven't seen that. We've seen the Fed actually come in and raise rates. I think they should have raised them higher. And I think they should have raised them a lot sooner, like 12 years ago. Actually, after the financial crisis, I was against the central bank ever cutting rates in the first place, right? So why cut rates and cause the same problems that were in the run up into the financial crisis, right? Rates were too low, people were borrowing too much money, asset prices zoomed beyond what people could afford. What are we seeing now? We're seeing the exact same thing, but worse. Now, things played out differently this time. We had a lot of different things happen in 2020, where foreclosures got canceled, evictions got canceled, and that caused rents and home prices to stay elevated. And the level of market manipulation, each time we see an economic downturn or the threat of a downturn, the manipulation and intervention gets bigger and bigger and bigger each time. So my question has always been, what's it going to be this year? If something big breaks, if something drops, if the market has a scare moment, what type of rescues, what type of manipulation interventions are going to be pumped into the market this time? It's pretty scary to even think about the possibilities. Well, let's get into the housing market, because I told you we're seeing a big surge in inventory, and this is definitely another indicator that people could be getting desperate. Homeowners could be getting desperate, listing their homes on the market. And here's how Business Insider put it: a huge wave of housing inventory hit the market in February as the lock effect eases. So a lot of sellers, or potential sellers, homeowners, didn't put their home on the market because they wanted to sit in the home with the low rate that they got when they took out the mortgage to buy the home. And as we know, it's less than 25% of people actually own their homes without a mortgage. So most people have a mortgage, 75% approximately. New listings of existing homes, according to Zillow, jumped 21% year over year. Folks, that was the biggest jump in 3 years. So again, if the economy is getting stronger, it must not be getting stronger for a lot of these homeowners who are feeling, I think, financially pinched right now with the rising costs, especially insurance costs, the cost of maintaining a home, a roof repair. Now you get 3 or 4 bids. My sister got a bid on painting her home, and actually, I warned my sister against this. She bought a home in a homeowners association complex, right? And it was only, well, I shouldn't say only. It was pretty high to begin with. Bottom line is they raised her HOA fee, and they're saying her paint is too faded now. And this is California. We get a lot of sunshine, and paint jobs can fade pretty quickly. Baking in the sun, right? 300 plus days a year of sunshine. And she got 4 bids. Her lowest bid on her home. This is not a big home. This is 1,300 square feet, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. $3,500 was the cheapest bid that she got. So there's just an example of how homes can be a money pit. And if you want to get a new roof, new air conditioning system, look out, because these expenses are exploding higher. Businesses are charging more because people are demanding higher wages because the cost of living is so high. So cost of everything is up, and it's going to remain elevated and get worse. And look at all the people that told us inflation was going to get better and that they're going to get back down to 2%. Those were all either lies, one, or the experts that make millions of dollars, people at the central bank, for example, were wrong. They're clueless. How do you make millions of dollars in salary, but yet you're clueless on what happens? Now, I don't know what their actual salaries are, but I do know that they're all multimillionaires, right? So, what do you guys think about this? The Vanguard CEO just resigning. Um, the 401k record withdrawals again. Big surge in people listing their homes. Looks like things are really starting to pick up here and get very, very interesting. And we're going to keep an eye on everything for you here on the economy, financial news, economically. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and come back for more. We'll talk to everybody very soon. Bye for now. Peace.